The fluorescent lights of Meyer and Associates law firm buzzed overhead as Sarah Mitchell wiped down the mahogany conference table for the third time that evening. Her hands, raw from industrial cleaning solution, moved in methodical circles across the polished wood. It was 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday in downtown Chicago, and the November wind rattled the floor-to-ceiling windows of the 42nd floor. Sarah was 31 years old but looked older. The kind of tired that settles into your bones and changes the way you carry yourself. Her blonde hair, pulled back in a practical ponytail, had begun showing premature gray streaks she couldn't afford to cover. Her uniform, a simple blue polo shirt with the cleaning company logo, hung loose on her frame. She had lost weight recently, not the intentional kind. Through the glass walls of the conference room, she could see the Chicago skyline glittering like a promise she would never touch. The Willis Tower stood dark against the night sky. Somewhere down there, 42 floors below, her 2 children were asleep in their aunt's small apartment in Pilsen. Emma was 7. Lucas was 5. They had eaten dinner. She had made sure of that before her shift started at 6 p.m. Sarah had not eaten since yesterday morning. Her stomach growled, a hollow sound that echoed in the empty office. She pressed her hand against her abdomen and kept working. The conference room needed to be spotless before the senior partners arrived at 7 a.m. There were crumbs near chair 7. Someone had spilled coffee near the credenza. A forgotten legal pad lay on the side table, covered in notes she could not read from this distance. The divorce had been finalized 8 months ago. Derek had moved to Arizona with his new girlfriend, a dental hygienist named Brittany who posted photos of beach vacations and craft cocktails on social media while Sarah picked up double shifts. Child support was theoretical, a number on paper that never materialized into actual dollars in her account. She had been a paralegal once before Emma was born. Before Derek convinced her that staying home was better for the family. Before she lost 5 years of career progression and found herself at 31 with an employment gap no Chicago law firm wanted to overlook. The cleaning job had been the only place that called her back. Sarah pushed her cart to the next office. Corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows on 2 sides. A desk the size of her kitchen table. Leather chairs that probably cost more than her monthly rent. The nameplate on the door read, Alexander Meyer, Senior Managing Partner. She had never met him. The cleaning crew worked after hours specifically to avoid the lawyers. Invisible labor for invisible people. But she had cleaned his office every Tuesday and Thursday for 6 months. She knew things about Alexander Meyer that he would never know she knew. He drank black coffee from a University of Michigan mug. He kept a photo of an elderly woman on his desk, probably his mother. He read physical newspapers, not digital. The Wall Street Journal, the Chicago Tribune, sometimes the Financial Times. His trash can told stories, discarded drafts of contracts, printed emails he had crumpled in frustration. Once, she found a handwritten note that said "Call Mom" underlined 3 times. It made her smile. Even billionaires had mothers they forgot to call. Sarah emptied his trash, replaced the liner, and began dusting his bookshelf. Legal volumes. Biographies of Theodore Roosevelt and Abraham Lincoln. A first edition of To Kill a Mockingbird under glass. She was careful not to disturb anything. Her supervisor had been clear. The partners noticed everything. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out with cleaning glove-covered hands. A text from her sister, Monica. Emma asking for you. Says her stomach hurts. Gave her some crackers. She okay but wanted you to know. Sarah's heart clenched. Emma's stomach always hurt when she was anxious. Sarah had been working 6 nights a week for the past month. The extra shifts paid for Lucas's asthma medication. The inhaler cost $140 even with the discount pharmacy card. Insurance was $300 a month she could not afford. She texted back with clumsy gloved fingers. Tell her I love her. Home by midnight. Kiss them both for me. The gloves made it hard to type. She pulled them off, sent the message, pulled them back on. Her hands were shaking slightly. Low blood sugar. She recognized the feeling. Lightheaded. Unfocused. She had a granola bar in her locker downstairs. She was saving it for tomorrow. Sarah finished dusting and moved to vacuum. The vacuum was loud in the silent office. She worked quickly, efficiently, the way she did everything now. No wasted motion. No wasted time. Time was money and she had neither. She was coiling the vacuum cord when she heard a sound behind her. Sarah spun around, startled. A man stood in the doorway of the office. Tall. Maybe 6'2". Dark hair going silver at the temples. Sharp features. Wearing a suit that probably cost more than her car. He was holding a briefcase and looking at her with an expression she could not quite read. Her heart hammered. Nobody was supposed to be here. The building was supposed to be empty except for security and the cleaning crew. "I apologize for startling you," the man said. His voice was deep, measured. The kind of voice used to being listened to. "I had to come back for some documents. Late negotiation." Sarah realized with creeping horror that she was standing in Alexander Meyer's office. And Alexander Meyer was standing in front of her. "I am so sorry, Mr. Meyer," she stammered. "I will get out of your way. I am almost finished here." She moved to grab her cart, but her hands were shaking worse now. She knocked over the bottle of wood polish. It clattered across his expensive desk and rolled onto the floor. Clear liquid pooled on the mahogany surface. "Oh God," Sarah whispered. She grabbed for the microfiber cloth, trying to stop the spill before it damaged anything. "I am so sorry. I am so sorry." "It is fine," Alexander said, but she barely heard him. She was wiping frantically, her vision blurring with tears she refused to let fall. She could not afford to lose this job. She could not afford anything. She worked without looking up, cleaning the spill with shaking hands. When she finally had the courage to meet his eyes, she found him watching her with strange intensity. "When did you last eat?" he asked. The question caught her completely off guard. "What? When did you last eat?" he repeated. "You are shaking. That is low blood sugar." "I am fine," Sarah said automatically. "I ate earlier." She was a bad liar. She had always been a bad liar. Alexander was quiet for a moment. Then he walked to his desk, opened a drawer, and pulled out a protein bar and a bottle of water. He held them out to her. "Here." Sarah stared at the offerings like they were a trap. "I cannot take that, Mr. Meyer. I am working." "You are shaking so hard you can barely hold the cloth," he said, his tone factual rather than unkind. "Take them. Eat. I need to make a phone call anyway. I will be in the hall." He left before she could protest further. Set the protein bar and water on the edge of his desk and walked out, closing the door behind him. Sarah had invested the settlement money wisely, following advice from a financial planner Michael Torres had recommended. Most of it was in trust funds and college savings accounts for Emma. Some had gone to home improvements and a reliable car that started every single time she turned the key. The rest sat in savings, a cushion against disaster, a promise that they would never again be one broken taillight away from catastrophe. Her phone buzzed during her lunch break. A text from an unknown number. "Turn on the news. Channel 7. You'll want to see this." Sarah recognized the turnstile immediately. Vincent. She had not heard from him in almost 2 years, not since he had stopped by the house one last time to tell her the protection detail was ending, that she was truly free to live her life without looking over her shoulder. She pulled up the news on her phone and felt her breath catch. The headline read, "Federal investigation concludes in massive corruption scandal." Below it, a familiar face stared out from a mugshot. Detective Marcus Webb, looking decades older than when Sarah had last seen him, his expression a mix of defiance and defeat. She turned up the volume on her phone. The news anchor spoke with barely contained excitement. "Today marks the conclusion of a 3-year federal investigation into corruption within the Chicago Police Department. Former Detective Marcus Webb, along with 6 other officers, has been indicted on charges including bribery, evidence tampering, and obstruction of justice. The investigation, which began with an anonymous tip in 2025, uncovered a pattern of misconduct spanning over 15 years. Sarah's hand trembled slightly as she held the phone. The anchor continued. "Sources close to the investigation say Webb and his associates received payments from wealthy individuals and organizations in exchange for favorable treatment in criminal cases. Multiple wrongful arrest cases are now being reviewed, with several individuals expected to receive compensation and exoneration. The screen showed footage of Webb being led into a federal courthouse, his wrists cuffed, reporters shouting questions he refused to answer. Sarah felt a complex mixture of vindication and sadness. Justice, even delayed, still mattered. Another text from Vincent. Told you I'd make sure he faced consequences. It just took a little longer than expected. How are you? Sarah typed back, we're good. Really good. Thank you for never forgetting. His response came quickly. Never forget the people worth remembering. Give Emma my best. That evening, Sarah sat at her kitchen table grading papers while Emma did homework beside her. The house smelled of the lasagna baking in the oven, a recipe Sarah had finally mastered after numerous attempts. Through the window, she could see their small garden blooming with late summer flowers, tomatoes ripening on the vine. Mom, I need help with this math problem. Sarah looked over Emma's shoulder, explaining the concept of fractions in a way that made Emma's face light up with understanding. These moments, so ordinary and precious, were what she had fought for without even knowing it. The right to be bored sometimes, the luxury of helping with homework, the blessing of routines that were peaceful rather than desperate. Her doorbell rang, an unusual occurrence. Most of their friends texted before coming over. Sarah opened the door to find Mrs. Rodriguez standing there, older and frilier than she had been 3 years ago, but with the same warm smile. Maria, I was in the neighborhood visiting my grandson and thought I'd stop by. I hope that's okay. Of course. Come in, please. We're just about to have dinner. You'll join us. Over lasagna and salad, Mrs. Rodriguez told stories of the old neighborhood, of people Sarah had once known who had moved away or passed on. The building where they used to live had been torn down, replaced by a modern development with rents triple what Sarah had been paying. Sometimes I miss those days, Mrs. Rodriguez said, then paused and corrected herself. No, that's not true. I miss the people but not the struggle. You've done good, Mija. Look at this life you've built. Your mama would be so proud. Sarah's mother had died when she was 19, too young to see her daughter become a mother herself, too soon to witness either the darkest or brightest moments of Sarah's journey. But Sarah liked to think she was watching somehow, seeing that her daughter had survived, had thrived, had turned pain into purpose. After Mrs. Rodriguez left and Emma was in bed, Sarah sat in her home office, a small room she had converted from what had been a storage space. On the walls hung photographs chronicling their journey. Emma as a toddler, Sarah's first day at her new teaching job, the two of them in front of their house on moving day. A picture of Sarah receiving her teaching certificate, Vincent standing in the background of the shot, present but never seeking attention. She opened her laptop and began typing an email she had been composing in her head for months. It was addressed to the Chicago Community Fund, a nonprofit organization that helped single mothers in crisis. The email outlined her proposal to establish a scholarship program for mothers seeking higher education, funded by an anonymous donation she was prepared to make. $50,000 to start. Money that would change lives the way her life had been changed. She was about to hit send when another email arrived. The sender was listed simply as VM. Vincent Moretti. Sarah had not even known he had her email address, though by now she should not have been surprised by anything he knew. The email was characteristically brief. Heard about your scholarship idea. Good instinct. I'm matching your donation. $50,000 from my foundation. Don't argue. Some battles you can't win. Sarah laughed, tears pricking her eyes. She typed back, thank you. For everything. For then. For now. For always. His response came within minutes. You did the hard part. I just opened a few doors. The walking through them was all you. Be well, Sarah Mitchell. You earned every bit of happiness you have. She wiped her eyes and hit send on her email to the community fund, the match donation making it $100,000. Enough to help at least a dozen women begin the climb out of poverty and desperation. Enough to be a lifeline for mothers who felt as hopeless as Sarah once had. 1 year later, Sarah stood on a small stage at a community center on the south side, facing an audience of women who looked exhausted, scared, and determinedly hopeful. The first recipients of the Mitchell Moretti Scholarship Fund sat in the front row, 12 single mothers who had been selected from hundreds of applicants. She cleared her throat and began to speak, her voice steady despite her nerves. 4 years ago, I was arrested for a crime I didn't commit. I was a single mother working 3 jobs, barely keeping my head above water. I had no resources, no powerful friends, no reason to believe things would ever get better. I was exactly where many of you are now, looking at a system designed to keep you down and wondering if fighting back is even possible. She paused, meeting the eyes of women who understood, who had lived their own versions of her story. Saturday afternoon, Emma was discharged with a prescription for oral antibiotics and instructions to follow up with a pediatrician in 1 week. Sarah carried her to Monica's car, Lucas trailing behind with the stuffed elephant. The November air was bitter cold. Sarah had forgotten her jacket. She had been wearing the same clothes for 3 days. At a pharmacy on the way home, Sarah handed over Emma's prescription. The pharmacist typed into her computer and said, "That will be $72. Sarah felt her stomach drop. "With insurance? You do not have active insurance showing in our system." Sarah's mind raced. The insurance through the cleaning company. She had been fired. Of course it was gone already. "I need to make a call. Can you hold the prescription?" "Sure. But we close in an hour." Sarah walked outside, Emma leaning heavily against her, exhausted. Lucas held her other hand. Monica had gone to find parking. Sarah called the insurance company, waited on hold for 20 minutes. Finally reached a human who confirmed what she already knew. Her coverage had terminated the day she was fired. "Is there a grace period?" "No, ma'am. You would need to apply for COBRA continuation, but the premium is $450 a month." Sarah hung up without responding. $450 a month. She wanted to laugh. She wanted to scream. Monica pulled up in her beat-up Honda. Sarah helped Emma into the back seat, buckled Lucas in beside her, slid into the passenger seat and put her face in her hands. "What is wrong?" Monica asked. "The prescription is $72. I do not have insurance anymore." Monica reached for her purse. "I have it." "No," Sarah said. "You have already done enough. You let us live with you. You watch the kids while I work. You cannot keep paying for everything. Then what are you going to do? Let Emma get sick again?" Sarah did not have an answer. Monica drove to the pharmacy, paid for the antibiotics with her credit card. Emma took her first dose in the car on the way home. That night, after the kids were asleep, Sarah sat at Monica's kitchen table with her laptop, applying for jobs. Grocery stores, retail, fast food, anything. Her paralegal experience felt like a past life. A dream she had woken up from to find herself here, desperate and drowning. She applied to 17 jobs before midnight. Her eyes burned. Her head ached. She had eaten half a can of soup for dinner because that was all that was left. Her phone buzzed. An email. She opened it without thinking. Subject line: Meyer and Associates, final paycheck. Sarah's heart sank. Her last paycheck from the cleaning company would be direct deposited Monday. She clicked the email to confirm the amount. But the email was not from the cleaning company. It was from Meyer and Associates directly. From Alexander Meyer's executive assistant. "Dear Ms. Mitchell, per Mr. Meyer's request, I am reaching out regarding your recent employment termination. Mr. Meyer would like to speak with you at your earliest convenience. Please call my direct line to schedule. Best regards, Jennifer Chun, executive assistant to Alexander Meyer." Sarah read it 3 times. Alexander Meyer wanted to speak with her. The senior managing partner. The man whose office she had spilled would polish in. The man who had given her a protein bar. Why would a billionaire lawyer want to speak with a fired cleaning woman? Unless he was going to sue her for something. Unless the wood polish had ruined his desk. Unless she had violated some cleaning company contract she had not read carefully enough. Sarah closed her laptop and put her head down on the kitchen table. She could not handle one more thing. Not one more thing. She would call Monday. She would deal with it Monday. Tonight she just needed to breathe. Monday morning came too fast. Sarah woke up at 5 a.m. even though she had nowhere to be. Her body was trained for early shifts that no longer existed. She lay in the darkness of Monica's living room, listening to the radiator clank and hiss, trying to summon the courage to make a phone call. By 8 a.m., she had fed the kids breakfast, gotten Emma her antibiotic, and watched Monica leave for work. Lucas was playing with toy cars on the floor. Emma was coloring at the kitchen table, finally looking like herself again. Sarah sat on the couch with her phone in her hand, staring at Jennifer Chen's number. Just call. Just get it over with. Whatever Alexander Meyer wanted. Avoiding it would only make things worse. She dialed before she could talk herself out of it. Meyer and Associates, Jennifer Chun speaking. Hi, this is Sarah Mitchell. I received an email asking me to call? Oh yes, Ms. Mitchell. Thank you for calling. Mr. Meyer has asked to meet with you today if possible. Would 11 a.m. work? Sarah's mind spun. Today? I have my kids with me. You are welcome to bring them. Mr. Meyer was quite insistent that we accommodate your schedule. This felt wrong. Lawyers did not accommodate fired cleaning women. But Sarah heard herself saying, okay, 11 a.m. Should I come to the office? Yes. Just give your name to security. They will be expecting you. Sarah hung up and stared at her phone. Emma looked up from her coloring. Mommy, are you okay? Yes, baby. We are going on a little trip this morning. Downtown. You and Lucas need to be on your very best behavior. Okay? Emma nodded seriously. Because you have to talk to the boss man? Sarah smiled despite everything. Something like that. 2 hours later, Sarah stood in the marble lobby of the building that housed Meyer and Associates, holding Lucas's hand while Emma pressed close to her other side. Security had indeed been expecting them. They were given visitor badges and directed to the 42nd floor. The elevator ride felt eternal. Sarah caught her reflection in the mirrored walls. She had worn her best outfit, which was not saying much. Black pants from Target. A cream blouse Monica had lent her. Her hair was down for once, brushed until it shined. She looked tired but presentable. The kids looked nervous. When is this over? Lucas whispered. Soon, buddy. Just be patient for mommy. The elevator opened directly into Meyer and Associates' reception area. Sleek, modern, floor-to-ceiling windows showing the Chicago skyline in daylight. Sarah had only ever seen this place at night, empty and quiet. Now it hummed with activity. Lawyers in expensive suits. Paralegals rushing past with files. The smell of expensive coffee. A young woman approached them immediately. Ms. Mitchell? I am Jennifer. She smiled warmly at the kids. And you must be Emma and Lucas. We have a room set up for you with some activities while your mom talks with Mr. Meyer. Does that sound okay? Emma looked at Sarah uncertainly. Mommy? It is okay, sweetheart. I will be right down the hall. Sarah looked at Jennifer. They can stay with me. Jennifer's smile did not waver. Of course. Whatever makes you comfortable. Follow me. They were led past the reception area, down a hallway lined with glass-walled offices, to a conference room Sarah recognized. She had cleaned it dozens of times. Now she was sitting at the table where powerful people made decisions that shaped companies and lives. Jennifer brought coloring books and tablets loaded with kids' games for Emma and Lucas. Can I get you anything? Coffee? Water? Water would be great, Sarah said. Her mouth was desert dry. Jennifer left and returned with 3 bottles of water and a plate of cookies. For the kids, she explained with a wink. Mr. Meyer will be right with you. The wait was only 5 minutes but felt like hours. Emma and Lucas were absorbed in the tablets. Sarah twisted her hands in her lap, trying not to think about all the ways this could go wrong. Then Alexander Meyer walked in. He looked different in daylight. Less intimidating somehow, though no less impressive. He wore a navy suit that probably cost more than Sarah's car. But his expression was open, almost kind. Ms. Mitchell, thank you for coming. He glanced at Emma and Lucas. And thank you for bringing your children. I hope Jennifer got them settled. They are fine, Sarah said, her voice steadier than she felt. Mr. Meyer, can I ask what this is about? Did I do something wrong? Alexander sat down across from her. Quite the opposite. He pulled out a folder. After our encounter last Thursday, I did something I probably should not have done. I asked our HR department to pull your employment file from the cleaning company. They contract with us, so we have access to certain records. Sarah's stomach tightened. That sounds like I am in trouble. You are not in trouble. But I learned some things that concerned me. You were working 6 nights a week. You were consistently staying past your scheduled shift to ensure the work was done properly. Your supervisor rated you as their most reliable employee. And then you were fired for missing 3 shifts. Sarah looked down at her hands. My daughter was in the hospital. I did not have a choice. I know. I called the cleaning company. They have a policy that allows for medical emergencies if you provide documentation within 48 hours. Your supervisor never told you that. She just fired you. Sarah felt anger flare in her chest. Hot and bright. She never told me that. No, she did not. Alexander pushed the folder across the table. I have her termination here. She violated company policy. But that does not help you. Sarah stared at the folder. Why are you telling me this? Alexander was quiet for a moment. When I saw you Thursday night, you were shaking from hunger. You tried to hide it, but I have seen low blood sugar before. My mother was diabetic. I know what it looks like. He leaned forward. I asked myself why someone would work that hard, that many hours, and still not be able to afford to eat. So I looked into it. Sarah felt exposed. Vulnerable in a way that made her want to run. You looked into my life? I looked into your employment situation, Alexander clarified. You were making $12 an hour, working roughly 48 hours a week. That is about $2,000 a month before taxes. Rent in Chicago averages $1,500 for a 1-bedroom. Add utilities, food, transportation, childcare. The math does not work. Sarah's voice came out sharper than intended. Is there a point to this? Are you offering me charity? Because I do not need pity. I am not offering charity. Alexander's tone remained calm. I am offering you a job. The words hung in the air. Emma looked up from her tablet. Lucas continued playing, oblivious. Sarah stared at Alexander Meyer like he had spoken a foreign language. A job, she repeated slowly. We have an opening for a paralegal in our family law division. Jennifer mentioned you have experience from before your children were born. 5 years as a paralegal at Morrison & Blake. That was a lifetime ago. I have been out of the field for 7 years. No firm is going to hire me with that gap. I am, Alexander said simply. If you want the position, pays $62,000 a year to start. Full benefits. Health insurance that includes dental and vision. For weeks paid vacation. We have an on-site childcare center for employees. It is not free, but it is subsidized. About $300 a month for both kids. Sarah could not breathe, could not process what she was hearing. Why? Why would you do this? Alexander looked at her for a long moment. My mother raised me alone. My father left when I was 4. She worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat. Cleaned offices at night just like you. She was brilliant. Could have done anything. But the system was not built for single mothers with no safety net. He paused. She died when I was in law school. Worked herself into an early grave. I have spent 20 years building this firm, and I have never once thought about the people cleaning our offices after hours until I saw you. Sarah felt tears burning behind her eyes. She refused to let them fall. I do not know what to say. Say yes. Come work for us. Let me help you get back on your feet. It is not charity. You will work for every dollar. Our family law division is demanding. But you will be paid fairly. You will have benefits. You will be able to feed your kids and yourself. Emma tugged on Sarah's sleeve. Mommy, are you sad? No, baby, Sarah whispered. I am not sad. She looked back at Alexander Meyer. This man who had noticed her when everyone else looked through her. This man who had seen her hunger and done something about it. This man who was offering her a way out of the hole she had been drowning in. When would I start? Sarah asked. Alexander smiled. How about Wednesday? That gives you tomorrow to sort out childcare arrangements and get oriented. If you are still rooting for Sarah and want to see how this changes everything, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Her journey is just beginning. and you will not want to miss what happens next. Sarah stood up, extended her hand. Thank you, Mr. Meyer. I will not let you down. Alexander shook her hand. Call me Alex. And I know you will not. Sarah's first day at Meyer and Associates felt like stepping into an alternate reality. She arrived at 8 a.m. sharp, wearing a suit Monica had helped her find at a consignment shop in Lincoln Park. Charcoal gray. Professional. It fit well enough that nobody would know it cost $25. Jennifer met her in the lobby with a warm smile and a folder thick with paperwork. Welcome to your first day. We have a lot to cover, but do not worry. Everyone here wants you to succeed. The onboarding process took most of the morning. HR paperwork. Benefits enrollment. Sarah sat in a small office and checked boxes that felt like science fiction. Health insurance with a $10 copay. Dental coverage. Vision. Life insurance. A 401k with employer matching. She had to read the benefits summary 3 times before believing it was real. By lunch, Jennifer walked her down to the childcare center on the 3rd floor. It was bright and clean, with soft lighting and toys organized by age group. The director, a grandmother woman named Patricia, greeted Emma and Lucas like they were her own grandchildren. We do activities every day, Patricia explained. Art projects. Story time. We have a small playground on the terrace for good weather. Lunch and snacks are included. Emma clutched Sarah's hand. Will you come get us? Every day at 5:30, Sarah promised. That is when Mommy's work ends. And if you need me before that, Patricia will call me. I am just upstairs. Lucas was already eyeing the toy trucks in the corner. Can I play now? Patricia laughed. Of course you can, sweetheart. Sarah kissed them both goodbye and took the elevator back to the 42nd floor. Her heart lighter than it had been in months. Her kids were safe. Federal supervised. She could work without the constant knot of worry in her stomach. The family law division occupied the south wing of the floor. Sarah was introduced to the team. Mark Brennan, the lead attorney, was in his 50s with kind eyes and a firm handshake. This is Sarah Mitchell, our new paralegal. She comes highly recommended. Sarah met his eyes. I will work hard. I do not doubt it. Mark gestured to a desk near the windows. This is your space. Computer is set up. Password is on the sticky note. We use LexisNexis for research. Clio for case management. If you have questions, ask. Nobody here expects you to know everything on day 1. Sarah sat down at her desk and felt tears threaten again. A desk, with her name on a placard. Sarah Mitchell, paralegal. She touched the letters like they might disappear. The first week was overwhelming. Sarah had to relearn software that had not existed when she last worked. The legal landscape had changed. Illinois family law had new precedents she needed to memorize. But Mark was patient. The other paralegals, 2 women named Jennifer and Aisha, helped her without judgment. You are picking this up fast, Aisha said on Friday afternoon. How long did you say you were out of the field? 7 years, Sarah admitted. I feel like I am learning a foreign language. You are doing great. Seriously. Jennifer had been here 5 years and she still asks me questions. By the end of the 2nd week, Sarah had found her rhythm. She arrived at 8 a.m., dropped the kids at childcare, worked until 5:30, picked them up, took the train home to Monica's apartment. She had her first paycheck direct deposited. $2,100 after taxes. She stared at the number on her phone app and cried in the bathroom at work. Monica found her apartment listings that night. You can afford your own place now. Stop sleeping on my couch. Are you trying to get rid of me? Sarah teased, but her heart was already searching the listings. A 2-bedroom in Pilsen. First month, last month, security deposit. She could do it. She could actually do it. 3 weeks into the job, Mark called Sarah into his office. She went with her stomach tight, convinced she had made some catastrophic error. But Mark was smiling. I want you to take lead on the Henderson case. Divorce. High net worth. Wife is seeking full custody and significant alimony. Husband is fighting everything. It is messy, but you have shown me you can handle complicated situations. Sarah felt a surge of confidence she had not experienced in years. I can do that. Good. Client meeting is Monday at 2 p.m. Prepare the file. Know it inside and out. You will be sitting in with me. The Henderson case consumed Sarah's attention. The wife, Catherine Henderson, was 43 and had spent 20 years married to a venture capitalist who had recently decided he preferred his 26-year-old assistant. Catherine had no career, no independent income, 2 teenage children, a prenup that heavily favored the husband. Sarah read every document, every email, every bank statement. She found discrepancies, hidden accounts. Money moved to offshore holdings 3 months before the husband filed for divorce. This was not a sudden decision. This was planned, calculated. She presented her findings to Mark on Monday morning. He read through her notes with growing interest. This is excellent work, Sarah. Really excellent. This changes our entire strategy. The client meeting went better than Sarah dared hope. Catherine Henderson was elegant and composed on the surface, but Sarah recognized the fear underneath. The uncertainty, the terror of starting over. Mrs. Henderson, Sarah said gently, I know how frightening this must be, but we have found evidence that strengthens your position significantly. Your husband has been moving assets for months. That demonstrates premeditation and bad faith. Illinois courts do not look favorably on that. Catherine's composure cracked. Her eyes filled with tears. I just want to be able to take care of my children. I do not want his money. I just want security. Sarah reached across the table and squeezed her hand. We are going to fight for you. Promise. After the meeting, Mark pulled Sarah aside. You have a gift for this. Clients trust you. That is rare. Sarah felt pride bloom in her chest. Warm and unfamiliar. Thank you. By December, Sarah had moved into her own apartment. Small. A 2-bedroom in a neighborhood that was not fancy but was safe. Emma and Lucas had their own room. Bunk beds from IKEA that Sarah assembled herself at midnight, crying happy tears over incomprehensible instructions. Monica helped her move in with the few belongings they had. Clothes, toys, some kitchen items Monica insisted Sarah take. It was not much, but it was theirs. Emma ran through the empty apartment, her footsteps echoing. We have our own home again, Mommy. Yes, baby, we do. That night, after the kids were asleep, Sarah sat on the floor of her empty living room with a pizza Monica had bought to celebrate. She looked around at the bare walls and felt something she had not felt in over a year. Hope. The Henderson case went to court in January. Sarah had prepared every document, anticipated every argument. Mark let her present portions of their evidence. She stood in that courtroom in her consignment shop suit and spoke with confidence she had earned. The judge ruled in Catherine's favor. Full custody, significant alimony, division of assets that reflected the husband's bad faith actions. When the gavel came down, Catherine turned and hugged Sarah, sobbing. Thank you, thank you. You gave me my life back. Sarah hugged her back, thinking about all the people who had given her life back. Monica, Alexander Meyer, Mark, even Jennifer Chun, who always made sure there was coffee in the break room and asked about her kids. After the hearing, Mark took Sarah to lunch at a restaurant she could never have afforded 6 months ago. You have a real future in this field, he said. Have you thought about law school? Sarah laughed. I am 31 with 2 kids and student loans from my bachelor's degree I am still paying off. Law school is not realistic. Meyer and Associates has a program. We will sponsor employees for part-time evening law school. Cover tuition. You would work during the day, attend classes at night. Takes 4 years instead of 3, but you graduate with a law degree and no debt. Sarah stared at him. You are serious. Completely. Talk to Alex about it. He started the program specifically for situations like yours. People with potential who need an opportunity. That evening, Sarah knocked on Alexander Meyer's office door. He looked up from his computer and smiled. Sarah, come in. How did the Henderson case go? We won. Full custody, significant alimony. Client is happy. I heard. Mark called me. He says you were impressive in court. Sarah sat down in the leather chair across from his desk. The same chair she used to dust. Mr. Meyer, Alex. Mark mentioned the law school sponsorship program. Alexander leaned back. Interested? Terrified. But yes, interested. Good. You should be terrified. Law school is brutal, especially while working full-time. But I think you can handle it. I have seen what you are capable of when someone gives you a chance. Sarah felt her throat tighten. You gave me more than a chance. You gave me my life back. I do not know how to repay that. Be successful. Help other people the way I helped you. That is how you repay it. Alexander's expression was serious. I meant what I said about my mother. She never got her chance. But you have yours. Do not waste it. I won not, Sarah promised. She started law school that fall at DePaul University. Night classes. For evenings a week after her full workday. Emma and Lucas stayed with Monica or with Patricia from the childcare center, who had become like a grandmother to them. It was exhausting. Sarah fell asleep over textbooks, studied on the train, wrote papers at midnight, but she was building something, not just for herself, for Emma and Lucas, a future where they would never wonder if there was enough food, where they would never see their mother shake from hunger, where they would know that hard work and opportunity could change everything. 3 years passed like a blur of casebooks and courtrooms, late nights and early mornings, triumph and exhaustion. Sarah turned 34 in the spring of her final year of law school. Emma was 10 now, tall and confident, already talking about becoming a lawyer like her mom. Lucas was 8, obsessed with dinosaurs and building elaborate Lego cities on the living room floor. Sarah sat in her apartment on a Tuesday night in April, surrounded by bar exam study materials. The Illinois bar exam was in July, 8 weeks away. She had taken a practice test that afternoon and scored 73%. Passing was 75. She was close, so close. Her phone rang. Alexander Meyer. She answered immediately. Alex, hi. Sarah. How is bar prep going? Slowly. I am scoring in the range, but not consistently enough. She rubbed her eyes. I am starting to worry. Do not worry. You will pass. But that is not why I am calling. Can you come to my office tomorrow morning? Say 9 a.m.? Of course. Is everything okay? Everything is fine. I just want to discuss something with you. Sarah hung up feeling uncertain. In 3 years of working at Meyer and Associates while attending law school, she had grown close to Alex. He was a mentor, sometimes almost like the father she had never had. But he was still the senior managing partner. When he called meetings, it meant something significant. The next morning, Sarah dropped the kids at school and headed downtown. She had long since stopped taking the train during rush hour. She had bought a used Honda Civic 2 years ago. Reliable transportation that did not break down or leave her stranded. Small victories. Jennifer greeted her with a knowing smile. He is expecting you. Go right in. Alexander's office looked the same as it had 3 years ago. Same desk. Same leather chairs. Same photo of his mother. But Sarah was different. She wore a tailored suit she had bought new. Her hair was cut professionally. She carried herself with the confidence of someone who had earned her place. Sarah, sit. Alexander gestured to the chair. How are the kids? Good. Emma wants to be a prosecutor. Lucas wants to be a paleontologist. Alexander laughed. Smart kids. He pulled out a folder. I wanted to talk to you about your future here. You graduate in May. Take the bar in July. Results come in October. Assuming you pass, which I have no doubt you will be eligible to practice law. Sarah nodded. I have been thinking about that. I was hoping to transition from paralegal to associate. I know it is competitive, but I think I have proven myself. You have more than proven yourself. Alexander opened the folder, which is why I want to offer you something different. We are creating a new position, Director of Pro Bono Services. You would oversee our entire pro bono program. Family law cases for low-income clients, custody disputes, divorce, protection orders, the work you have been passionate about. Sarah's heart began to race. That sounds amazing, but I do not have enough experience to direct a program. You have more experience than you think. You have lived what our clients live. You understand their challenges in ways I never could. Alexander slid a paper across the desk. This is the compensation package. Starting salary of $110,000. Full benefits. Budget to hire 2 associate attorneys and 3 paralegals to work under your supervision. Complete autonomy over case selection and strategy. Sarah stared at the number. $110,000. She had made $12 an hour 4 years ago. She had skipped meals so her children could eat. Now she was looking at a salary that seemed fictional. Alex, I do not know what to say. Say yes. Help people who are where you were. Give them the chance someone gave you. Sarah looked up at him, tears blurring her vision. Yes. Absolutely yes. Alexander smiled. Good. You start after you pass the bar. Use the summer to prepare. Study hard. Then come back here and change lives. Sarah walked out of that office feeling like she was floating. She called Monica from the parking garage, crying so hard she could barely speak. I got a job. Director position. 6 figures. Monica, I am going to be okay. We are going to be okay. Monica's voice cracked with emotion. I never doubted it. Not for 1 second. The bar exam in July was the hardest 2 days of Sarah's life. 2 full days of testing. Multiple choice. Essays. Performance tests. She left the testing center exhausted, uncertain, convinced she had failed. But she had done everything she could. Studied every night. Worked every practice problem. Sacrificed sleep and social life and sanity. Now it was out of her hands. The wait for results was agonizing. Sarah threw herself into work, still functioning as a paralegal until the results came. She prepared files, supported attorneys, tried not to think about the exam. Emma and Lucas started 5th and 3rd grade. Sarah attended every school event, every parent-teacher conference. She volunteered for field trips, made cupcakes for class parties. All the things she could never do when she was working 6 nights a week for $12 an hour. One evening in late September, she sat with Emma at the kitchen table, helping with math homework. Lucas was building a Lego dinosaur museum on the floor. The apartment smelled like the pot roast Sarah had made in the slow cooker. Normal, domestic, beautiful. Emma looked up from her worksheet. Mom, do you remember when we lived with Aunt Monica? Of course, baby. Why? Emma shrugged. I was thinking about it today. How you used to be sad a lot. You do not seem sad anymore. Sarah pulled her daughter close. I am not sad anymore. We have a good life now. Because Mr. Meyer gave you a job? Sarah thought about that. Because Mr. Meyer gave me a chance. But I did the work. I studied hard. I did not give up. That is the important part. Lucas looked up from his Legos. When I grow up, I am going to give people chances too. Sarah felt her heart swell. That is a very good plan, buddy. On October 15th, Sarah was in a client meeting when her phone buzzed. She ignored it. The meeting was important. A woman seeking a protection order against an abusive ex-husband. Sarah was still officially a paralegal, but was handling more responsibilities as she waited for bar results. The meeting ended at 11:30. Sarah checked her phone. An email from the Illinois Board of Admissions. Subject line, bar exam results. Her hands shook as she opened it. Scanned down to the only line that mattered. Congratulations. You have passed the Illinois bar examination. Sarah stood up so fast her chair rolled backward. She walked to the nearest bathroom, locked herself in a stall, and sobbed. Relief, joy, disbelief. Every emotion she had been holding back for 4 months poured out. She had done it. She was a lawyer. Mark found her 20 minutes later, still red-eyed but smiling. He already knew. The firm had access to results for sponsored candidates. He hugged her, unprofessional but genuine. Congratulations, counselor. You earned this. The firm threw her a party that Friday. Nothing extravagant. Cake in the conference room. Champagne. Every attorney and paralegal she had worked with for 4 years. Monica came with Emma and Lucas. Patricia from the childcare center brought flowers. Alexander made a toast. 4 years ago, I met Sarah Mitchell when she was cleaning my office. She was working herself to exhaustion for $12 an hour, skipping meals so her children could eat. I saw something in her that night: determination, intelligence, resilience. Today, she is a member of the Illinois Bar. Next month, she will lead our pro bono program, helping people who are where she was. Sarah, you are proof that opportunity combined with hard work can change everything. We are proud to have you. Everyone applauded. Sarah stood there with her kids on either side of her, Monica behind her, surrounded by people who had become family, and felt the weight of 4 years lift from her shoulders. She had been broken. She had been hungry. She had been invisible. Now she was whole. She was fed. She was seen. The following Monday, Sarah moved into her new office. Corner office. Not as big as Alexander's, but hers. Her name on the door. Sarah Mitchell, J.D., Director of Pro Bono Services. She hung her law degree on the wall, placed a photo of Emma and Lucas on her desk. Her first case as a licensed attorney was a 37-year-old woman named Maria. Single mother. 3 kids. Escaping domestic violence. No money. No resources. Terrified. Sarah sat across from Maria in her new office and saw herself 4 years ago. She reached across the desk and took Maria's hand. I know how scared you are. I know how impossible this feels. But you are not alone. We are going to fight for you. We are going to get you and your children somewhere safe. And we are going to make sure you have what you need to build a new life. Maria's eyes filled with tears. How much does this cost? Nothing. That is what pro bono means. Sarah squeezed her hand. Someone gave me a chance when I had nothing. Now I give chances. That is how this works. By Christmas, Sarah's department had handled 43 cases. 138. Helped families escape abuse. Secured custody for protective parents. Fought for fair divorce settlements. Every victory felt personal. Every client felt like saving a version of herself. On Christmas Eve, Sarah hosted dinner in her apartment. Monica, Patricia, Mark and his wife, Alexander, whose mother had passed away years ago and who spent holidays alone. Emma and Lucas ran around with too much energy and too much sugar. Sarah stood in her kitchen, watching the people she loved, and thought about the night 4 years ago when Alexander Meyer had found her shaking from hunger in his office. The night that had changed everything. He appeared beside her, holding a glass of wine. You look happy. I am. Sarah smiled. Thank you, Alex, for all of it. You did the work. I just opened the door. You did more than that. You saw me when I was invisible. Alexander raised his glass. To second chances. Sarah clinked her glass against his. To second chances. 5 years later, Sarah Mitchell stood at a podium in the grand ballroom of the Chicago Hilton, looking out at 300 faces. The Illinois State Bar Association Annual Conference. She had been invited to speak on pro bono legal services and innovative approaches to serving low-income communities. She wore a navy dress that Emma had helped her pick out. Professional, confident. Her hair, no longer showing premature gray, was styled in soft waves. She had gained back the weight she had lost during those hungry years. She looked healthy, strong, alive. Emma was 13 now, sitting in the second row with Lucas, who was 11. Monica sat beside them, beaming with pride. Alexander Meyer sat in the front row, his hair more silver than dark now, but his eyes still sharp and attentive. Sarah cleared her throat and began. 9 years ago, I was cleaning offices at night for $12 an hour. I was a single mother with 2 small children, an ex-husband who did not pay child support, and no way out of the cycle of poverty I was trapped in. She paused, letting the words settle. I skipped meals so my kids could eat. I worked 6 nights a week and still could not afford rent. I was invisible to almost everyone who passed me in these buildings I cleaned. The room was completely silent. One night, a man I had never spoken to noticed I was shaking from low blood sugar. He gave me a protein bar and a bottle of water. That small act of kindness led to a conversation. That conversation led to a job opportunity. That opportunity changed my entire life. Sarah clicked to the next slide. A photo of the Meyer and Associates pro bono services team. 12 people now. 4 attorneys, 6 paralegals, 2 social workers, a victim advocate. In the past 5 years, our program has served over 800 families. We have won custody cases for protective parents, helped domestic violence survivors escape abuse, secured fair divorce settlements for people who could not afford representation. We have changed lives. She clicked again. Statistics, success rates, client testimonials. But here is what I want you to understand. These families do not need charity. They need opportunity. They need someone to see them, to believe in them, to give them the tools to fight for themselves. Sarah looked directly at Alexander. My mentor taught me that. He saw potential in a woman cleaning his office. He gave me a chance. Now I give chances. That is how we break cycles of poverty. Not through pity, but through opportunity. The presentation continued for 30 minutes. Sarah discussed funding models, partnership with law schools, training programs for new attorneys. When she finished, the applause was thunderous. During the reception afterward, people approached her constantly. Law firm partners asking about the program. Young attorneys wanting to volunteer. A woman in her 50s with tears in her eyes. I was where you were, the woman said. 20 years ago. Cleaning offices. Single mother. A lawyer I worked for put me through paralegal school. Now I run my own practice. Your story matters. Thank you for telling it. Sarah hugged her, this stranger who understood. We survive. Then we help others survive. That is how it works. Later that evening, back at the office, Sarah sat in the conference room with her team. They were celebrating a major victory. A case they had been working on for 18 months. A mother who had fled domestic violence with her 4 children. The father had been wealthy, connected, with expensive attorneys fighting for custody despite documented abuse. Sarah's team had built an airtight case. Medical records, police reports, testimony from teachers and counselors. They had fought for this family like they were their own. Today, the judge had ruled in their favor. Full custody to the mother. Supervised visitation only for the father. A protection order in place. The client, Rebecca, had sobbed in the courtroom. My babies are safe. You kept my babies safe. Now Sarah's team sat around the conference room table, eating takeout and reviewing the victory. David, one of her associate attorneys, raised his beer. To Sarah, for teaching us that this work is not just about winning cases. It is about changing lives. Everyone raised their glasses. Sarah felt gratitude wash over her. This team, these people who believed in the mission, who worked late nights and weekends not for billable hours but because they cared. Her phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Mom, Lucas ate the last of the ice cream. Please bring more home. Also, I got an A on my history test. Sarah smiled and texted back. Congratulations on the A. Tell Lucas I will bring ice cream if he does his homework without complaining. The response was immediate. He says deal. Normal. Beautifully. Wonderfully normal. After the team left, Sarah walked to Alexander's office. He was still there, as he often was, reviewing contracts under the desk lamp. Do you ever go home? Sarah asked from the doorway. Alexander looked up and smiled. I could ask you the same question. How did the presentation go? Standing ovation. 3 firms asked about setting up similar programs. Sarah sat down in the chair across from him. The same chair where he had offered her a job 9 years ago. Alex, I have been thinking. We need to expand. Maybe open a second office in a neighborhood with less access to legal services. South Side or West Side? Alexander leaned back. That would require significant funding. I know, but I think we could get grants. Partner with community organizations. Maybe even get some of the big firms to contribute. Sarah pulled out a folder. I have been working on a proposal. Alexander took the folder and flipped through it. His expression remained neutral, but Sarah knew him well enough now to recognize interest. This is ambitious. You taught me to be ambitious. He looked up at her. Fair point. Let me review this. We can discuss it with the partners next week. Sarah stood to leave, then paused. Alex, I never properly thanked you. You thank me constantly. It is getting repetitive. No, I mean really thanked you. For seeing me when I was invisible. For giving me a chance when nobody else would. For believing in me before I believed in myself. Alexander set down the folder. Sarah, you did the work. Every bit of it. I opened a door, but you walked through it. You studied while working full-time. You raised 2 kids alone. You passed the bar. You built this program from nothing. That was all you. We both know I could not have done any of it without that first opportunity. Then pay it forward. You already are. Alexander smiled. That is enough thanks for me. 2 months later, Meyer and Associates opened a satellite office in Englewood, one of Chicago's most underserved neighborhoods. Sarah split her time between downtown and the new location. The Englewood office was smaller, grittier, but filled with hope. They hired local residents, partnered with churches and community centers, made legal services accessible to people who had never imagined they could afford a lawyer. Emma started high school that fall. Smart, driven, already talking about Yale or Harvard for undergrad, then law school. Lucas was in 6th grade, still obsessed with dinosaurs but now also interested in environmental law. My mom helps people, he told his class during career day. When I grow up, I want to help the planet. Sarah attended every school event, every parent conference, every soccer game and science fair. The things she had missed when she was working nights and drowning. Now she was present. Fully, completely present. One Saturday in October, Sarah took the kids to Navy Pier. They got ice cream and walked along the lakefront, the Chicago skyline glittering behind them. Emma was on her phone, texting friends. Lucas was explaining something about pterodactyls with enthusiastic hand gestures. Sarah watched them and felt overwhelming gratitude. For this moment, for this life, for every small miracle that had led them here. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost did not answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Is this Sarah Mitchell? A woman's voice. Young. Scared. Yes, this is Sarah. My name is Amanda. I got your number from a shelter. I have 3 kids. My husband. He hurt me. I left. But I do not know what to do now. I do not have money for a lawyer. Someone said you help people like me. Sarah's heart clenched with familiar recognition. Amanda, I do help people like you. Can you meet me at my office Monday morning? Really? You will help me? Really? Sarah looked at her own children, safe and happy. You are not alone anymore, Amanda. We are going to help you. Promise. After she hung up, Emma looked at her. Another client? Another person who needs a chance. Like you needed a chance? Sarah pulled her daughter close. Exactly like I needed a chance. That evening, Sarah sat in her living room after the kids were asleep. Her apartment, still the same 2-bedroom in Pilsen, but now fully furnished. Decorated. A home, not just a place to sleep. She opened her laptop and began drafting a proposal for a statewide pro bono initiative. Expanding the model beyond Chicago. Helping more people in more communities. Her phone buzzed. A text from Alexander. Saw your Englewood office numbers. Exceptional work. Proud of you. Sarah smiled and texted back. Learned from the best. His response came quickly. You surpassed the teacher long ago. Sarah set down her phone and looked around her home. At the photos on the walls. Emma and Lucas at the beach last summer. Their first real vacation. Monica at Sarah's law school graduation. The team at the Englewood office opening. Alexander at the Bar Association conference. A life built from nothing. From hunger and fear and desperation. Built into something beautiful. She thought about that night 9 years ago. Shaking in Alexander Meyer's office. Trying to clean up spilled wood polish with trembling hands. Convinced she would be fired. Convinced she would never escape the pit she was drowning in. She thought about the protein bar he had given her. The water. The question. When did you last eat? Small kindnesses. Small moments. They had changed everything. Sarah closed her laptop and went to check on her children one more time. Emma, sprawled across her bed with a book on her chest. Lucas, curled up with his stuffed triceratops. Safe, Federal loved, with futures full of possibility. She kissed them both and whispered the words that had become her prayer, her promise, her purpose. Someone gave me a chance. Now I give chances. That is how we change the world.